The jungle was alive with sounds. Strange birds screamed in the trees. Bright insects buzzed through the thick green air. Vines hung low, brushing against Logan's face as he pushed forward through the wet leaves. He had been walking for hours. His boots were soaked, his scanner was dead, and his team, gone. They were separated during a storm the night before. Now Logan was alone, on a wild alien world called Akashto. He was searching for shelter, but what he found instead was screaming. It was distant at first, a high, sharp cry that cut through the jungle noise. Logan stopped and turned his head. The scream came again, this time clearer. It was not an animal. It was a voice, a girl, in pain. He moved fast, ducking, under branches, stepping over roots. The screams led him to a high ridge. He dropped to his stomach and crawled to the edge. Below him, hidden in a circular clearing, was a village, made of stone and bone. Fires burned in every corner. Strange, alien figures danced and chanted around a large pit in the center. And above that fire pit, something hung. A figure. It was a young alien girl, tied by her wrists and ankles to a wooden frame above the flames. Her skin was pale and glowing faintly. Her eyes, wide with fear, locked onto the crowd below. The heat licked her feet. Her body trembled. She screamed again. The tribe cheered louder. They beat drums, painted their faces, threw powder into the fire. Feast to the sky, they chanted in a language Logan's translator barely understood. Feast to the stars, burn the bond, wake the deep. He stared, shocked. This wasn't a dance. It was a sacrifice. Logan pulled, back from the edge. His heart pounded, his mind raced. He didn't know who she was or why they were doing this. She wasn't human, but she was alive, terrified, about to die. He checked his belt. One flare gun, a dull knife, no armor. But he had no time to plan. The fire below her grew larger. She cried out again, and Logan ran. He charged down the hill, through the thick brush. Branches slapped his face. Mud splashed across his chest. As he neared the edge of the village, the crowd's chanting grew louder. The flames rose higher. The girl was coughing now, choking on smoke. Without stopping, Logan pulled the flare gun from his belt and fired it into the sky. The red flash lit up the entire area. The tribe froze. Logan broke through the trees, running straight toward the fire pit. "Hey!" he shouted. They turned in shock. Some stepped back. Others raised spears. Logan didn't stop. He ran straight through the flames, up the wooden ramp, and climbed the frame where the girl was tied. The heat burned his skin. Smoke filled his lungs. But he reached her. She looked at him, eyes wide in disbelief. He raised the knife and cut the ropes. She fell into his arms. Then he jumped. They hit the ground hard. The crowd roared. Logan grabbed her and ran. He didn't know where he was going, only away from the fire, away from the spears, away from the chanting. The girl clung to him, coughing, her breath shallow. Behind them, the tribe shouted in fury, but they didn't chase. They watched instead, silent and still. After 20 minutes of running, Logan finally collapsed behind a large fallen tree. He laid the girl down carefully and sat beside her, gasping for air. His shirt was scorched, his hands blistered. But he was alive, and so was she. The girl looked at him. Her lips trembled. "Why?" she whispered. He blinked. "What? Why? You saved me?" He shook his head slowly. "I don't know," he said. "But you didn't deserve to burn." She stared at him, her eyes full of tears. Then slowly, she smiled. High above the jungle, the sky rumbled. Something stirred in the clouds. Something old. Something awakened by the interrupted fire. And far away, back in the village, the flames turned black. The forest was quiet now. The fire chants were far behind them. The only sound was the wind moving through the trees, and the heavy breathing of the human who had run too far, too fast, Logan sat against a mossy stone, arms shaking. His clothes were burned. His hands were raw, but his eyes were fixed on the girl lying just a few feet away. She looked too small to have survived the fire. Her pale skin had strange glowing patterns across it, soft gold and silver lines, like symbols from an ancient book. Her silver hair clung to her face, wet from sweat and smoke. She wasn't moving much. Her chest rose and fell slowly, but she was alive. He had dragged her half a mile through thick jungle. Now they were hidden in a deep ravine beneath tree roots. It wasn't safe, but it was safe enough for now. Logan leaned closer. "Can you hear me?" he asked. Her eyes fluttered open. Glowing amber stared up at him. He pulled a flask from his pack and gently tilted it to her lips. She coughed, swallowed, then spoke again, barely a whisper. "You jumped in the fire." He nodded. "Yeah, that was kind of insane, wasn't it?" A weak smile touched her face. "You're not tribe." "No," he said. "I'm human. Name's Logan. You?" She closed her eyes, then whispered, "Jaya." For a few minutes, neither of them spoke. Then Logan reached into his medkit. He cleaned the burns on her wrists and ankles. They weren't as bad as he feared. The ropes had burned away before the flames reached her skin. Her body was glowing faintly now. He noticed something strange. Her wounds were healing. Fast. The cuts he'd seen before were already fading. He blinked. "Are you doing that?" Jaya opened her eyes again, then looked away. "I don't know how to stop it." Logan leaned back. "You're not from that tribe, are you?" Jaya shook her head slowly. "They hunt the glowing ones. My kind." "Why?" "They say we carry the ancient blood. They fear it. But also—" She stopped, voice trembling. "Also what?" he asked gently. "They feed it to the flames, to awaken something old." Logan frowned. "Like a god?" Jaya didn't answer, but her eyes said yes. Logan stood and looked around. "We can't stay here. They'll come searching." He walked to the edge of the ravine, climbed halfway, up and scanned the jungle. So far, no movement. When he came back down, Jaya was sitting up. She was staring at her hands. The glowing marks were spreading, slowly running across her arms and neck. "I don't understand," she whispered. "I do," Logan said. "You were supposed to die in that fire. But you didn't." Jaya looked at him. "Because of you." He shook his head. "Maybe. Or maybe something else is keeping you alive." That night they made a small shelter from leaves and vines. Logan kept the fire low. No smoke, no light. Jaya sat close to the warmth, but never too close. She was afraid of the flames. Logan offered her a protein bar. She sniffed it, then took a tiny bite. "Your food tastes like metal," she said. He grinned. "Welcome to human survival rations." She gave him a tired smile. Later, when she finally slept, Logan stayed awake. He couldn't forget what he'd seen. The chanting, the fire, the way they cheered when she screamed, and the way the sky turned dark when he cut her down. It didn't feel like he had just saved a girl. It felt like he had stopped a ritual, and rituals always had a cost. At midnight, something moved in the trees. Logan froze, then grabbed his knife and crawled to the edge of the ravine. Eyes watched from the branches. Not animals, not tribe. Hunters. 3 of them. Painted in ash, holding curved blades that glowed faint red. But they didn't come. Closer, they looked down and saw something. The glowing pattern on the ground. A circle of light surrounded the shelter, not drawn by hand, drawn by Jaya's skin while she slept. A protection symbol. The hunters backed away slowly, then vanished into the dark. Logan returned to the fire, heart pounding. He looked at her, still sleeping, still glowing, and he whispered, "What are you?" Far away, deep under the mountain near the old village, a stone began to crack. Molten veins lit up beneath it, and a voice, older, then memory began to stir. The girl had escaped the fire, but the flame had already been fed. The morning came with thick mist. The jungle trees stood like tall shadows, unmoving, their branches dripping with cold dew. Strange birds stayed silent. Even the insects were gone. Logan noticed it first. "This place is too quiet," he said, softly. Beside him, Zaya was already awake, crouched low, glowing faintly. She didn't need to say anything. They both knew. Something was following them. They packed quickly. Logan carried most of the supplies. Zaya led the way. Her glowing hands touched roots and trees, and they responded, bending slightly, opening narrow paths. She knew this jungle, but it wasn't helping them anymore. The vines moved slower. The leaves stayed stiff. The forest itself had become cold. "They're afraid," Zaya said, placing a hand against a tree. "Of what?" Logan asked. Her eyes flicked upward. "Of what's been awakened." They moved fast through tangled brush and thick ferns. Logan kept checking behind them. At first, he saw nothing. Then, a flicker. Far between the trees, something dark, big, crawling low. It wasn't from the tribe. It wasn't human either. It was not alone. By midday, they stopped near a narrow stream. Zaya cupped her hands to drink. Logan didn't. He stood watch. The silence pressed against his ears. Then he saw them, marks on the trees, claw marks, deep, long, fresh. He turned to Zaya. "Whatever's chasing us, it's close." She nodded, her face pale. "They're not part of the tribe." "Then what are they?" She whispered one word. "Starborn." Before he could ask, a loud crack echoed behind them. Logan spun just in time to see something massive leap through the air, black and scaled, its eyes like burning stones. He grabbed Zaya and dove into the stream. The beast crashed into the earth, where they had stood seconds before. It shrieked, a sound that was part growl, part metallic screech. Then more of them came. 3, maybe 4. Walking on all fours, heads low, tails spiked. Their bodies shimmered as if not fully solid. "Run!" Logan shouted. They ran downstream, splashing through water and mud. Zaya whispered something in her language, and the trees above dropped large leaves, blocking part of the sky. But the starborn beasts didn't slow down. They hunted by heat, and Zaya's glowing skin was like a beacon. They reached a cliff edge. Below, a deep gorge. Sharp rocks, a fast-moving river. "Now what?" Logan asked. Zaya didn't hesitate. She turned to him. "Trust me." Then she stepped forward and jumped. Logan shouted her name, but then jumped after her. The air roared in his ears. They hit, the water hard. The current grabbed them and pulled them under. For a few terrifying seconds, he saw nothing but bubbles and shadows. Then strong hands grabbed his jacket. Zaya pulled him to the surface. They gasped for air as the river carried them far from the cliff behind them. The beasts roared but didn't jump. Hours passed. The river finally calmed. They crawled to shore, soaked and shivering. Logan coughed hard and rolled onto his back, staring at the cloudy sky. Zaya lay beside him, breathing deeply. They were alive. But barely. "We're not safe yet," Zaya said quietly. Logan looked at her. "What are those things?" "They were made," she said, voice flat. "Long ago. By the same ones who built the fire rituals. Starborn beasts, half flesh, half void. And why are they hunting you?" She looked at him sadly. "Because I survived the fire. They made camp in a hidden cave behind a waterfall." Zaya lit soft light from her hands. The glow danced on the stone walls. She drew symbols with her fingers. Protection signs. Logan watched her. "You're getting stronger." She nodded. "The flame touched me, but it didn't take me. Now, something inside me is waking." Logan moved closer. "Whatever it is," he said, "we'll face it together." That night they sat near the cave opening. looking at the stars. Jaya spoke softly. When I was a child, my mother told me that if the star-born ever rose again, it would mean a great change was coming. She turned to Logan. She also said, a light from another world would come to help us. He raised an eyebrow. You think that's me? Jaya smiled gently. You jumped into fire to save someone you didn't know. If that's not light, what is? But in the jungle below, the tribe had found the burned clearing. The elder touched the blackened fire pit. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. Because deep beneath the earth, something old had begun to move. The fire was small, just a few sticks and glowing embers, but the smoke that rose from it wasn't normal. It moved slowly, carefully, like it had a mind of its own. Logan sat across from the fire, drying his boots. His eyes were tired, his body sore, but his mind wouldn't rest. Beside him, Jaya was sitting still, eyes closed, hands resting on her knees. The golden lines on her skin were brighter now, glowing in rhythm with her breath. They had been hiding in the waterfall cave for 2 days. The jungle was still restless. No more attacks yet, but Logan knew it was only a matter of time. Jaya hadn't said much since the jump, until now. She opened her eyes and spoke softly. There's a voice in the smoke. Logan raised an eyebrow. Say again? She pointed at the slow-moving trails rising from the fire. It's calling to me. Not with words, but memory. He leaned forward. Like a vision? She nodded. It comes from the old bond, the bloodline of my people. It's awakening because the fire tried to consume me, but failed. Logan watched the smoke. For a second, it shaped into a circle, then a symbol, then a hand. What's it saying? He asked. Jaya's voice lowered. It wants me to remember who I am. She touched the earth, and the glow on her skin spread to the cave floor. Symbols lit up in a wide circle around her. Logan stepped back, surprised. What is this? A spirit walk, she whispered. Every true blood must face it once their power stirs. She looked up at him. You can't follow me in this part. Then she closed her eyes, and everything went silent. Inside her mind, Jaya stood in a field of stars. Above her, no sky. Below her, no ground, only light. A shape formed in front of her, a tall woman, made of silver mist, eyes glowing gold. The woman smiled. You survived the flame. Jaya spoke softly. I wasn't ready. You were never meant to be ready, the spirit said. You were meant to choose. Jaya looked down at her own hands. They now pulsed with fire and light. Choose. What? To be the one who ends the cycle. In the real world, Logan watched as the air in the cave turned warm. The fire rose, without wood. The smoke curled around, Jaya like a blanket. Her body floated inches above the stone floor. Then, a pulse of light burst outward. It didn't hurt, but it left Logan breathless, like standing near something ancient. Alive. When she opened her eyes again, they were brighter, deeper, changed. She spoke, but her voice was layered, like someone else was speaking with her. I've seen it now, what they tried to feed, what sleeps below the stone. Logan moved closer. Tell me. Jaya nodded slowly. It's called the hunger flame. It was once a living force, now broken. The tribe feeds it sacrifices to keep it asleep. And if they stop, it will rise and burn everything. Logan sat back, thinking hard. So saving you didn't stop it? No, Jaya said. But it gave us a chance. He looked at her glowing arms. And you? What are you now? Jaya paused, then answered. I am the bond reborn. The spark they feared. The one the flame could not consume. That night, the jungle outside the cave came alive again. Animals returned. Wind blew gently. But something else came too. A whisper. Not in words, but in feeling. Logan stepped outside and felt it. Pressure in the air. A promise of heat. He turned to Zaya, who now stood in the cave entrance. "We have to go back," she said. "To the village?" "To where it all started." He looked at her, confused. "Why now?" She stepped forward. "Because the next feast is coming. And this time, they're not burning one." Far away, the village glowed red under a black sky. The tribe danced, again. But the fire was darker now, deeper, and beneath the stone temple cracks widened. Molten light oozed upward. The hunger flame was waking. The sky above the jungle had turned red. Thick smoke floated between the trees. Even the birds were gone now. Logan and Zaya moved through the underbrush without a word. Their feet were silent, their eyes sharp. The air smelled of fire, of ash, of something old and angry. They reached the edge of the cliff by midday. Below them, the village stood again, just like before. The fire pit in the center was larger now. Its flames burned darker, swirling unnaturally, almost alive, but something was different. Logan narrowed his eyes. "The fire? It's not for you this time." Jaya's face went pale. "No, it's for them." Tied near the fire were 4 alien figures, shining skin, soft light under their robes. Her people. One was older, one barely a teen. The others had tribal paint smeared on their faces, covering their glowing marks. "They found another nest," Jaya whispered. "A hidden group. My kind must have been nearby, hiding, just like I was." Logan clenched his jaw. "We can't let them do this." Jaya stared at the sky. "If that flame eats them, the hunger flame will fully awaken." She reached into her pouch and pulled out a glowing stone, the spirit shard she had formed during her spirit walk. "I can stop it," she said. "But not alone." Logan checked his gear, a knife, a flash bomb, 2 thermal flares. "Then we do this together," he said. "Just like before." Jaya gave a small nod. "You'll go low," she said. "Draw them away." "And you?" She looked at the fire pit. "I walk into the flames." The plan was simple and dangerous. Logan circled down through the trees, creeping along a narrow ridge that led to the back of the village. He waited for her signal. Then, a burst of white light exploded from the cliffside. Dozens of villagers screamed and scattered. Some ran toward the edge, others toward the flames. Logan dropped into the back path, sprinted to the prisoners, and began cutting ropes. "Stay quiet," he whispered. One of them, a girl, barely taller than his chest, looked up at him. "You're the human," she said. "Right now, I'm your ride-out." As the villagers turned, Jaya appeared. She walked straight into the fire pit, her robes burning away in a golden flash, revealing her glowing skin and blazing eyes. Gasps filled the air. The elders stepped back. One shouted, "She returns! Burn! Her, feed the flame again!" Jaya raised both hands, no more blood. The fire swirled around her feet, but didn't burn her. She stepped deeper into the flame, and it rose to meet her, forming a circle of burning light. The ground shook. Beneath the village, the stone cracked wide. From it, something began to rise. Not a creature, not flesh, but a presence. The hunger flame, shaped like smoke, eyes like coals, a mouth of fire. It spoke in a voice that burned the ears. "You broke the ritual, you stole the sacrifice. Now you offer yourself again?" Jaya stood tall, her voice calm. "I offer you peace." "I do not want peace, I want to eat the stars." She stepped forward. "Then try to eat me." At the same time, Logan led the prisoners into the tree line, but more villagers were blocking the path. He threw the flash bomb. Boom! Light exploded through the trees. Screams. Confusion. He grabbed the smallest child and pushed through. "Move. Go. Don't stop." Behind them, the fire pit cracked open. But instead of consuming Jaya, the flame turned upward, twisting around, her trying to crush her, and she rose into the air. Jaya's body glowed white gold now, her hair floated, her skin blazed like a sun. She held the spirit shard high. "I am not your fuel," she shouted. "I am the end of your hunger." The shard shattered, sending light through the sky. The flame screamed. The ground exploded in fire. Then silence. When the smoke cleared, Jaya stood alone in the pit. The fire was gone. The hunger flame was gone. Only ash remained. The villagers stared, then fell to their knees. Logan returned, breathless, hands scratched, face covered in dirt. You did it," he said, staring. Jaya looked at him with tired eyes. "I'm still burning," she whispered, and fell into his arms. Far above, the sky began to change, not with storm clouds, but with stars, brighter, closer, and from the edge of the atmosphere a ship appeared. Her people were coming. The fire pit was cold, ashes floated in the wind. The villagers had fled or dropped to their knees. Some wept, some simply stared, silent, afraid. No one dared speak, because at the center of the pit, surrounded by black stone and shattered offerings, Jaya lay still, her skin, once glowing, now dull, her body, unmoving, and Logan, hands trembling, knelt beside her. He touched her cheek, warm, but fading. "Come on," he whispered. "You didn't come this far just to stop now." But she didn't answer. He looked around. The spirit shard had broken, the fire had vanished, but so had her light. One of the elders stepped forward, slowly. "She gave her life to end the flame," he said. "The ritual is broken. Let her rest." Logan stood up, fists clenched. "No. She saved you all," he said, "and you let her walk into death, alone." The elder lowered his head. "We didn't believe she could return. We feared her." Logan turned back to Jaya and did the only thing he could. He lifted her from the ash, cradled in his arms, and began to walk. Through the broken village, past the silent huts, toward the cliff where it all began. Each step was heavy, but he didn't stop. The cliff wind howled as he reached the top. Logan laid her down gently on a smooth stone. He sat beside her, holding her hand, and began to speak. "You saved a stranger in the woods. You healed the jungle when it wanted you dead. You stood in fire and the fire listened." He laughed once, softly. "I jumped in once to save you. Guess it's your turn now." For a moment, all was still. Then, the wind changed. Warmth spread across the stone, and her fingers twitched. Logan froze. Jaya's chest rose, and light began to return. Not fast, not bright, but steady. The golden lines on her skin glowed again. Her hair lifted gently. Her eyes opened, glowing, bright like sunrise, but different. She sat up slowly, her voice layered with something new. "I am still me, but more." Logan blinked. "You okay?" She nodded, then stood, and the wind stopped. The forest below silenced. From behind the clouds, a golden ship appeared. Sleek, beautiful, humming with energy. It moved slowly, with purpose, and descended toward them. Logan stepped back, staring. "Is that?" Jaya smiled softly. "My people." The ship landed gently on the cliffside. Its doors opened. Two tall figures stepped out, wearing robes of silver and green, eyes glowing like hers. They bowed low, but she shook her head. "No," she said. "I don't rise alone." She turned to Logan and reached out her hand. He looked at her, unsure. "I'm just the guy who lit a flare in the jungle." Jaya stepped closer. "And I'm the girl who almost burned, but lived because someone jumped." She took his hand. "You walked through the fire with me," one of the elders spoke from behind. "What are you now?" Jaya turned to face him, wind wrapping around her like a cloak. "I am no longer a girl hiding from death," she said. I am the spark that ended the ritual, the voice of the old bond. She looked up at the stars. And I will not hide again. The villagers dropped to one knee. Even the trees bent slightly. The wind carried her name. Jaya, born of light, bearer of flame. Inside the ship, Logan stared out the window. The planet below shrank slowly as they lifted into orbit. He turned to her. What? Happens now? Jaya smiled. Now. We fix what the fire broke. Together. He nodded. Just one request, he said. No more walking into flames. She laughed softly. No promises. Above the stars, the ship vanished into light, and below, on the planet's surface, the jungle bloomed for the first time in years. The stars were closer now. Not just bright points in the sky, but huge, glowing suns seen through the glass dome of a Netherian starship. Logan stood at the edge of the observation deck. His jacket was patched, boots still dusty. But his heart was full. Behind him, the hum of the ship was gentle, almost like music. And far below, the jungle world of Akashto faded into blue and green. He hadn't spoken much since the ship lifted. Not because he had nothing to say, but because everything felt too big now. The girl he had pulled from a fire was now a symbol of rebirth. And somehow, he had become part of it. Why do you always stand alone? The voice was soft, familiar. Jaya walked to his side, wearing flowing robes marked with golden light. She looked stronger now, not because of her powers, but because of her peace. I'm just not used to being in the sky, Logan replied. She smiled. You got used to fire. He chuckled. Barely. They stood in silence for a while. Then she said, There's a word in my language. Sarion. It means the one who moves first without promise of return. Logan tilted his head. Like a scout? No, she said. Like you. The one who jumps without knowing if they'll land. He looked at her. You mean when I saw you above that fire? Jaya nodded. Yes. That was the moment the world changed. She reached into a small satchel and pulled out a smooth, glowing ring, made of crystal and light. This was made from the last ember of the hunger flame, she said. You ended the ritual by saving me. And now, the fire will never burn. Again, she held it out to him. Logan hesitated. I'm not a hero. Jaya stepped closer. You're not, you're more. Later that day, the ship arrived at its destination, a city in the stars, Netherian structures of silver and vines, glowing bridges that floated without support, towers that sang when the wind passed through. The people welcomed Jaya with awe. But when they saw Logan beside her, they bowed to him too. Confused, he whispered, What's happening? Jaya whispered back, You carry the ember ring. That means you're no longer just an outsider. Then what am I? She smiled. You're bonded to the girl and to the flame she carries. A gathering was called that night. Elders, citizens, and younglings filled a wide-open space under the stars. Jaya stood in the center, light rising around her. She raised one hand. My story begins not in power, she said, but in weakness. I was caged, bound, nearly fed to fire. I was forgotten. She turned toward Logan, but someone remembered me, someone who knew nothing of my people, my world, my name. She walked to him, held out her hand, and said, This human leapt into fire for no reason other than this. He would not let someone die alone. Logan felt hundreds of eyes on him. He swallowed. I didn't know who she was, he said. I just saw someone screaming, and that was enough. One of the elders stood. And now, we offer him a place. Not by law, not by title, but by act. A glowing cloth was placed around Logan's shoulders, white with gold edges, a bonded mantle. Later, after the lights faded and the crowd returned home, Logan and Jaya sat beneath a glass canopy. He looked up at the twin moons above. I don't know what to do with all this, he said. Jaya leaned her head against his shoulder. Just stay close, she whispered. That's enough. Far below, the world they left behind began to grow again. The forest healed. The tribe rebuilt, not with sacrifice, but with memory. And high above, the girl who once was a prisoner, now guided stars with the one who jumped first. She was meant to be burned. He was meant to pass by. But when one leapt and the other rose, they changed the fire forever.